Hey everybody, this is Mike Manning from Days of Our Lives, The Bay, and This Is Us. And I'm reminding you to tune into my live interview with Stephen Cuoco at Power 98.5.
Hey, what's up? My name's Grant Kanoki. I'm a singer, songwriter, producer, and artist, and you're listening to Power 98.5.
We don't play the social game. We are social. Power 98.5. You're listening to Power 98.5, powered by United Angels Dream, your number one resource for public relations, entertainment, and multimedia. Contact them today at unitedangelsdream.com.
Hi, this is Dan Aykroyd. He's progressive. He's beautiful. He's thoughtful. He's intelligent. He's powerful. He's positive. He is Stephen Cuoco on Power 98.5 satellite radio.
Empowering listeners from the US to the UK. Live on air with Stephen Cuoco.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. You are live on air with Stephen Cuoco on Power 98.5. Head on over to power985.com. Click the bottom right icon, I call it sometimes a tick, in the bottom right hand corner. Send us a comment, questions, anything that you may have that you just love, whether it is Catherine and Company with Catherine Swain, Resilient You with Alicia Pazzoni, as well as myself, live on air with Stephen Cuoco on Power 98.5. Today we've got Mike Manning, so all the fans, all my listeners from here and all around the world, 200 countries and counting, whether you're listening on the iOS or Android app or tuning in on Alexa, in your car, in your home, or anywhere in the world, or even live FM radio, streamitter.com, MyTuner, one of my favorites, and many more is why Power 98.5 satellite radio is your premier destination and home for all of the latest and greatest in news, sports, media, entertainment, public relations, reality TV, and more. We have, we've got coming up Mike Manning. We've also got on November, 4th, we've got Jay Litherland. That's going to be at 11 a.m. Pacific time. Then we've got music artist Jay Marshall on November 5th, 2 p.m. Pacific. And we've also got MMA fighter, we're going to have to double check that, but we've got Terrence McKinney. He's going to be on November 9th at 11 a.m. Pacific. With that being said, I'm very excited to be back in the seat with Mr. Mike Manning. It's been a year since he's been on my show. It's flown by that quick. When he and I last spoke, he was like, it felt like 3 months ago. And man, is time flying by. It's already November. It's already cold outside. I am back to wearing my jeans and jackets. And to be honest, I'm loving it, but I'm not looking forward to winter, just to be honest here. With that being said, once again, head on over to power985.com, share your love. If you got any questions for Mr. Mike Manning, if you want to share any thoughts, even if you want to just connect with the team, if you have any music that you want to submit over to Power 98.5, you can also email us at contact@power985.com. Also, if you would like top of the line, red carpet, white glove public relations, connect with me at stephencuoco.com, STEVENCUOCO.com, and trust me, no one in the business can match the level of PR that I do in putting you first and not money first. Also, if you're thinking about doing paid media, I've been getting this question asked a lot. My recommendation is not to do it. If you're a politician, fine, it makes all the sense. But if you're a producer, an actor, anywhere in the arts, or even if you're an author, here's the thing. You're wanting to build credibility, whether you're selling goods and services, you're in the performing arts, whatever it may be. You're in the field to where you're establishing credible and accredited recognition. And with that being said, if anyone's going to invest in you, if buying tickets to attend, your live music concerts, to, go to a film festival and to, spend money to see your film, or go to a movie theater, or to stream or download your music, you want to make sure that anything and everything that you're doing in the media is that you are being recognized and respected for who you are, your name, your brand, your image, your reputation, and what you're offering and putting out there in the world. I just truly believe that what paid media does is it just acts as an extension for just narcissism. And it just acts as a tool of saying, ooh, I cannot obtain this recognition organically on my own, or my team, my PR rep, or my management company or agent cannot obtain this recognition organically. And then you go to paid media. How are people going to invest in you if they feel like you've got to create an air and fluff around an image and reputation that's not real because you're buying it? So once again, I know that a lot of these media companies out there are not in all of your favor, especially with the paid media. And it's amazing how some platforms are really charging right now. But just just ask yourself, how do you want the public and the world to receive you? And how trusted of a brand and an image do you want to have and to be in this world? With that being said, we don't need to worry about paid media with Mike Manning. Mike, hands down, people want to write about him, photograph him, talk about him, and interview him. That's why he's here today. I highly respect him. He's got a lot going on. He is an Emmy-winning actor, writer, producer. He's demonstrated a wide range of talents in front and behind the camera, working with some of the biggest names in Hollywood. On television, Manning is best known for his roles in Disney's popular snowboarding movie Cloud 9, on MTV's Teen Wolf, as the Manny on NBC's popular drama This Is Us, a bad boy, Charlie Dale, on the long-running soap Days of Our Lives. That's where you all know him most. And on the Bay. Mike, I can go on and on and on because your resume, your credentials, your reputation for being so young, you have so many accolades to where it's like, how do you find time for yourself?
Well, thank you for all of everything you just said. It's nice to be reminded sometimes in this industry, and anybody listening that is in any part of a creative, endeavor with their job or their passion. It's easy to be hard on ourselves, and it's easy to be like, oh, I'm not doing enough, or I'm, you go on social media, especially, you just talked about social media, and nowadays it's so easy for us to compare ourselves to other people, and say, oh, well, they're doing this, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing this. So it's nice to sit and chat with people and sort of reminisce about some of the successes of the past year. And like you said, I can't believe that it's been an entire year since we talked. And it is nice. I'm very much looking forward to this conversation with you to talk about some of the projects I've had, because I've this past year for me, and I don't know if it was coming out of COVID or if it's just that time, and a lot of the seeds that have been planted are now growing, or whatever metaphor we want to use. But it has been a really, really, really great year, and I have a lot of people to thank and a lot of reasons to be grateful. So I'm looking forward to talking to you about them.
It's been a year, if not going on a year or so, give or take. I believe November was the month that we last interviewed of last year. So yeah. What's been happening most recently? What are you working on? What are you most proud of since we last chat?
Yeah. So so since we spoke last time, I think my episodes of This Is Us aired. I believe that was within the past year. So I was, as maybe listeners might know, I was the new Manny on This Is Us. So I was in season 6, and Justin Hartley's character was, part of his storyline as Kevin was that he was on the TV show called The Manny. And then by the time and that was in season 1, season 2, by the time season 6 happens of This Is Us, and it's such a great show. It was such a great experience for me. I come in as the new Manny and sort of take over Justin's role on this TV show. And it was so great. And the response has been fantastic. So that was probably one of the highlights that I've had over the past year. I also got to shoot a horror film with Randy Couture that's going to come out. It's called The Bellkeeper. That's going to come out next year. So I'm really excited about that. Days of Our Lives, I was on it and then they killed me and then they brought me back and then they killed me and now they brought me back again. So I'm currently on the show right now. I can't say for how long I'll be on the show. I don't want to give any spoilers away, but I'm on the show right now. And then, and then let's see what else. Oh, and then The Bay. The Bay is now, I'm really proud to say that The Bay is now on Peacock. So people that have been asking where they can find the show, seasons 1 through 6 are now on Peacock. And then seasons 7 and 8 will be posting. 8 is in post right now. It's in editing, but season 7 will be posting on Peacock at some point, I think this year or early next year. So it's all really exciting. And The Bay is for what I won the Emmy for last year.
Yes, and that's the photo that we used for the bonus clip, and I remember that. And that is on my page. You can go to my Instagram at Steven Cuoco, StevenCuoco. Scroll down, you'll find that clip of Mike Manning on there. A little bonus clip I like to create of those who've been on the show. Marcos Papadato sent in a message. So he wants to say, or he had said, warm regards to Mike Manning for me. Please tell him how much I love him. My favorite article of 2021 that he did on you, and I remember that was within the vicinity of your Emmy with the Bay. And then please also ask him about being a part of the charity Samantha Friends, which benefits the Southeastern guide dogs in Florida. Do you know about that?
Yeah. So Samantha's Friends, they throw 2 charity gala fundraisers a year, usually one in the spring and one in the fall. And it's a lot of mainly soap fans, but fans from all over the place. It's in Florida, Lakewood Ranch, Florida, at the country club down there. And what they do is all of the proceeds from the event, it's a 2-day event. So the first night on Saturday, we do like a little dinner and a party and take pictures and everything. And then on Sunday, it's the gala. So there's a breakfast buffet, and then we essentially, myself and a handful of other soap actors will get on stage and make fools of ourselves for charity. So we dance, we auction items off, we have a good time. And Samantha's Friends, traditionally, they have supported the Southeastern Guide Dogs with all of their proceeds. Now, a nice thing that they're doing, and it's something brand new that they just started with their last event in September, and then they're going to be doing again moving forward, is the proceeds are not only going to go towards Southeastern Guide Dogs, but they're picking other charities as well to benefit. And 2 of the charities that they've chosen are charities that are near and dear to my heart. The first one being a charity called Boo to Bullying. That's BOO, the number 2, and then Bullying. It's a charity that I've been involved with since 2012. And they essentially focus on combating cyberbullying. And then we have a presence in schools, mostly in California, but other places too. And we go and we speak to students about bullying and the problem of bullying, and if you see bullying, what you should do, and sort of where bullying comes from. And we sort of try to create a safe space for them to express themselves. And we've seen really great results. And we have dozens of ambassadors, athletes. We have some Olympic athletes, we have singers, we have actors, we have, other artists. And so that's one charity that's really special to me. And then the other charity is Thirst Project, and they build wells for communities throughout the world, mainly in Africa, but throughout the world, that don't have access to safe, clean drinking water. I've been on the board of that nonprofit for the last 4 years. And I've been attending their events for the last almost 10 years. And so that's another charity that's near and dear to my heart. So when Samantha's friends came to me and said, "Hey, Mike, we're going to now benefit other charities. Do you have any suggestions?" And I sort of pitched Thirst Project and Buddha Bullying, and they said yes. Then that makes me, love them even more. And the story behind Samantha's friends is interesting. Samantha Boza is sort of the reason that the organization exists, and she went from being somebody that competed in beauty pageants, and then she had some health issues, and rather than sort of give up, she's sort of making lemonade out of lemons kind of thing, and making the most of it. And now what she has done in her situation is impacted positively the lives of so many people. So she in and of herself is a story of strength and inspiration.
Wow, that's a lot. And I remember you sharing that. It was a year ago when you were last on. How are you, or what do you plan to do when we think about media or events or red carpet or anything? Like, is there going to be anything live where, like Marcos and myself can join, or what are you guys doing like beyond what you're just doing right now? Or
well, this is why they need a Stephen Cuoco to go give them some PR tips.
Seriously, hook it up. I'll share.
Yeah. Actually, I'll do that. I'll connect you guys. I don't think that I know that they do, they take pictures and they post things afterward, but I don't think that they do anything live. So, maybe this year I'll talk to them about it, but maybe I'll live stream, or I'll do something from the stage and tag everybody. That's a good idea.
That would be great. And even let's say if they're at, if you have a venue or they've got something going on, depending on, like, obviously, Marcos is on the East Coast, I'm on the West Coast. I can easily bring my, equipment, thank God of technology, and we can do something live or even live with the radio, however you want to do it. Whether it be video, we could do it and still go live on the radio, or in person. But definitely, I'm being very serious. I'd like to help you and them any way that I can.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much for that.
What do you have to look forward to 2023? What projects are on the table? I know you had shared a lot, but are you into 2023 yet, or are you still finishing out 2022 and making plans? You've got the holidays coming up, you're doing what you do best, and you're very busy. You've had a busy morning so far. What's in store for you?
Well, I absolutely love Christmas time and Thanksgiving time, just this part of the year. So I'm trying to not rush it. I have a tendency to get busy, and I fall asleep, I wake up, and it's a month later, and I'm like, where did the time go? So I'm really, really trying to, this year especially, my family is coming out to stay with me at my house for Thanksgiving, and then Christmas. No, I'm sorry. I'm going to Colorado for Thanksgiving, and then they're staying out here for Christmas in California, and so I get to spend the entire time at the end of November and then most of December with family and friends that I haven't seen in a while. So I'm really going to try to just take it day by day and soak it all in. One thing that, sort of a byproduct of packing up my car and driving out to Los Angeles with a dream 12 years ago is that I get homesick a lot, and I miss the people I grew up with in Colorado. I miss my family, who now they all live in Florida. I'm sort of a mama's boy, so I talk to my mom as much as I can, but I miss her too. And so I'm really going to try to slow down and just be present and take advantage of, Thanksgiving and Christmas this year.
Yeah, definitely do that. I can hear in your voice the passion and excitement about being around family and spending time and having, those travel and those moments. So do that. You were in my life, during a time when I had experienced, loss. I remember that time when we had last done your interview. And if you remember me sharing about, me putting career and everything else, and my mom's passing, unexpected passing. And so with that, I know you're going to make the right decisions. I know you're going to continue to be like, hey, and take a pause, but still it's always good to have a reminder. And what I want to share with you is definitely force yourself when you need to or have to take that pause, even if it's for you to be like, you know what, I'm going to go outside for a walk. I'm going to leave the phone in the house. I'm going to go outside. I'm going to do something. That self-reflection, and that is so very important, especially for you being so vulnerable and transparent within who you are personally, but also in your career, Mike. You don't want to have any of that energy surrounding you or encompassed in what you're doing of like, oh my God, what the heck did I do? I put this first. I put that first. I should have did this. I should have done that. But I'm confident you're going to make the right decisions.
Well, yeah, and it is a conscious effort, because I think for somebody that that did pack up my car and drive out to Los Angeles on a dream, and I knew one person when I moved out here, and barely, we weren't even that close, and so it was a scary time. And I think for the first several years that I was here, I was very much about keeping my head down and working and working and working and working. And I would look at people all around me, booking big jobs and doing big projects. And I would always compare myself to them and say, oh, I'm not doing enough. I'm not doing enough. And I did have friendships and relationships suffer for that. And I think as now I'm a little older, and I've sort of don't have that imposter syndrome that I used to be crippled with before, because I have had the chance to be a part of some cool projects and really, sink my teeth into roles and movies and TV shows that, that I really, love and respect and I'm grateful to be a part of. Now, I think it's the exact opposite. Now I find moments to just be human and just slow down. One of my favorite sayings is, as artists, we can't pour from an empty cup, and you can't, as a creative person, you can't give yourself fully to situations or to roles or to, the people around you if you're only running on half a tank. And so especially since COVID and the pandemic forced us all to slow down, especially these last couple of years, I've really taken measures to sort of try to slow down and be present and take time for myself and my own, relationships and people around me, and going out of my way to let people know how I feel about them. And I've absolutely seen a difference in interacting with people and also just feeling a sense of calm and a sense of zen that I don't think I necessarily had, 5, 10, 12 years ago.
When you had mentioned, and this is the whole reason why I'm so drawn to you, because of how authentic you are. When you had said about and shared with us, Mike, the imposter syndrome, that is different for many people. Are you comfortable to go a little bit deeper to share what that meant for you in your experience, and any tips and insight of what you've done, in your life to help come back to your true self and to be your true self and live in your, through your truth?
Yeah. Thank you for that. That's a good question. I think the imposter syndrome comes from, I grew up in Colorado, and I've been doing theater since I was 12. I love acting. I love performing, but I didn't have any actors, professional actors, people making a living from it. I didn't have them in my life and sort of in my orbit in Colorado. And so I knew that I loved acting, but it never even crossed my mind that I could make a career out of it. And it wasn't until college where a friend asked me to go on an audition with him. And he came up to me, and we're studying for some business test in business school. That's where I was going to school for business. He comes up to me, he goes, Mike, you used to act and audition and stuff, right? And I said, yeah. He goes, there's an open casting call for a reality show. And I want you to come with me to help me get on the show. And I said, what show is that? And he said, it's called Real World on MTV. And I said, oh, okay. And to be honest with you, I'd never even watched the show. And so I was like, okay, fine, sure, whatever. Didn't think much of it. I ended up going to the casting call, and out of there's like 3 I think it's something like 33,000 people that year auditioned to be on the show to fill 8 spots. And so in my mind, I'm going there, I'm having fun with my friend, I'm trying to help him get on the show. Didn't really think much of it. Long story longer, they cast me on the show, and that was when my life changed. I went to Washington, D.C., and I filmed 3.5 months on the show, and then my episode started airing, and I went from being sort of an average kid in Colorado to everybody knowing me and my family and my story and personal details about my life. And then I had a manager in Los Angeles reach out to me on Facebook and convince me to pack up my car with all my belongings and drive out to Los Angeles and quote unquote give it 6 months. And he convinced me on via Facebook that I would become a big star in 6 months and that I should take the leap and do it. And of course, it took a lot longer than 6 months to be doing what I'm doing now. But I think because of that, I had imposter syndrome, and I show up in Los Angeles and I'm, going to these events, or I'm, going to these red carpet things, and I'm seeing all of these actors that I grew up watching and respect. And of course, I'm only human. And of course I got nervous, and I'm like, what am I doing here? Why was I stupid enough to think that I could be among these people and doing what these people are doing? I'm just this kid from Colorado, and who's done a dozen school plays, but like the fact that I did Oliver Twist when I was 14 years old is not going to help me now. Nobody cares about, Oliver Twist and whatever. And so I think I had to get over that. And for the first several years in Los Angeles, I was taking every single acting class I could. I was taking comedy and drama and groundlings for improv, and everything that every class and every book I could get my hands on, I would study, and I felt like I was playing catch up. And it wasn't until I found my tribe and I found a handful of good friends in Los Angeles that were sort of doing the same thing I was, that I was like, wow, like I need to stop and smell the roses and be grateful for the journey that I'm on. I'm surrounded by people that all have the same dream as me, that packed up their cars and drove themselves out to Los Angeles, and they're hustling and they're trying to do the same thing. And that is the journey is what makes it special. Being able to be here and surround myself with people that care so much that they packed up their lives to pursue this dream. Those are the types of people that I want to be around and really feed off of that energy. And, and I went to church and I found people from church. I went on auditions and acting classes, and I found people from that. And then I found people that had nothing to do with the entertainment industry that are just good people. And I sort of found my tribe. And it was at that point that I was able to just sort of stop and slow down and take a breath and sort of shed some of that imposter syndrome, but also some of that desperation, and just think to myself, look, even if I don't book a job, even if I don't, I'm not a part of this movie or this show or this, that, like, I'm still me. I'm still a good person. I'm still doing cool things. And that's enough.
All right. That's huge. And why I say that's huge, because, and I'm processing what you're sharing, is so many people go through that. And it took me a long time to understand what that meant. And for anyone who doesn't know or what imposter syndrome means, it is a psychological occurrence in which an individual doubts their skills, talents, or accomplishments and has a persistent internalized fear of being exposed as a fraud. I think that there are other areas in which that could, could lead into, but there are, a person who's either a perfectionist or someone who's a natural genius, a rugged individualist, the expert, the hero, according to Dr. Young, the 5 kinds of imposter syndrome personalities. So that's what it means. I think we all have a tendency to go through that. Yours is it's very common. I'm surprised that it would have a diagnosis on that, Mike, because it seems to be normal. as a human being, like to go through life and to experience what you've experienced. And once again, to digress slightly, why I say, that's huge is because that's a lot to have to take on. That is a lot of internal back and forth of what sounds to me trauma.
Well, I think we all as human beings have a level of either imposter syndrome, or if you don't want to call it that, just feeling like we're not enough in certain situations. And I feel like it's not something that's unique to California or to entertainment or to anything I'm doing. I think that, all over the world, we compare ourselves to other people, whether in the workplace or family or friendship circles or whatever. And I think especially now with social media, that comparison has been heightened. It's so easy for us to go and scroll through Instagram and see everybody at their best, and and these filtered pictures and these sunset pictures on beaches and this and that, and we sometimes forget that we're getting the snapshot highlight of somebody's life. We're not getting all of their lives. And so we're not seeing the drama, we're not seeing the hardships, we're not seeing the struggle. We're just seeing these perfectly manicured and catered pictures of these people's lives. And of course, we're going to compare ourselves to them and say, wow, they have this and this and this, and I don't have any of those things. And I think that it is creating a systemic level of unhappiness with our society. And I would encourage people to sort of not do that, and to not compare themselves to others on social media, and just to look in the mirror and think of all the good things that they have going on in their lives, and all the positive things that they have that they can look forward to, or positive people they can surround themselves with, and really take inventory on the good things, because that is how we sort of keep our sanity. And so I would say that is sort of universal to anybody that might be listening right now. Specifically to those in the entertainment industry, I think it goes one step further, because not only do you have you on social media or socially comparing yourselves to other people, but every single thing you do is under a microscope, and you have people from around the world critiquing what you do. So if I go to a red carpet event and I take a picture on the carpet and somebody doesn't like my shirt, they're going to comment on it. Or if I say something in an interview like this and somebody doesn't agree with it, then they're going to criticize me for it. And so I feel like for a while, that also, as I started to do bigger projects, and as I started to sort of build my brand as an actor, that magnifying glass would get bigger and bigger, and more people paid attention to the things I did, both positively and negatively. And that was also something I had to get over, not reading the comments and just sort of doing me and being the best version of myself I can be, and recognizing that I'm not going to please everybody. There is no situation where you do something and every single person is happy with it. Somebody is always going to try to criticize or comment or whatever, for whatever reason. And I don't know, I don't think we need to get into the science behind it, but there's always going to be somebody that tries to tear you down, and recognizing that I can't please everybody. And that's just something that's going to happen. It's a fact of life. That also freed up some of my my anxiety and my will, like my desire to please. It sort of freed up my brain to be present and to be sort of doing what I want to do, and surrounding myself with the people and the projects that I want to surround myself with, and being honest. You spoke about authenticity earlier. Being free to be authentic and not caring who I piss off, as long as I come from a place of love and compassion and trying to be a good person.
What really surprises me is I would never have thought you struggled or had any experiences with anxiety, because you're just so well composed, and I don't believe that you put an air on. I feel that you are like you are now, as you always have been since knowing you. You have a very, very gifted way of just basically being at moment and just dropping it all and just let's look at what's on the table. It's extraordinary of what you do, just how balanced you are, even through your life experiences, Mike. It's just remarkable to hear your story and your testimony. You still amaze me and surprise me every time we chat, because you help me to understand better about you and through your life experiences that I would never had thought you were going through or having in your life, because you're just that darn good to where you know how to hold it together, or at least I believe you help me believe that you have it together.
Thank you for saying that. Again, it's all, you're getting the highlights. You're getting the highlights of my life, and you don't really see the struggle. But I think it's important for us to sort of share that with people as well, so that they understand that they're not the only ones going through, fear or anxiety or whatever, everybody else might be facing.
You've got your phone by you, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I just sent you a text. I wanted to ask you something. My assistant, Christina, sent something over. This is something I never knew.
Okay.
Can you check that text for me?
Oh, yes, I am.
Okay.
Yeah, I am. It's been
check that. I just sent you something else.
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, I am happily married, and that is another thing that I, going through life, I never thought that I would be married. I have great friends. I have great family and people in my life, and I just felt like I was choosing career over over that type of relationship. And I and then I met somebody, and I could not see my life without that person, and so now I sort of check that box as well. Being married, and I think that helps me also to be a more well-rounded person.
Do you guys have kids?
No, we do not, and I don't know if I don't know. I go back and forth, because I don't know if on one hand, I have nieces and nephews, and they're all freaking just awesome people, and like watching these little people become have personalities and opinions, and watching them grow up has been magical. My little brother has 2 little girls, and they're Eleonora and Declan, and and then my sister has a little girl named Rayleigh, and they're just so beautiful. And I spend time with them. I'll go visit, and I'll spend time, and I'll think to myself, I'll have just finished reading a book to Declan or whatever, and I'll think to myself, man, I could do this. Like, I could be a dad, and I could have a little person to take care of, and I love that. And then I go back to Los Angeles, and I have 10 auditions, and I have to, drop everything and essentially be on call for whatever project. This year I shot a romantic comedy in Kentucky, and it basically took all of August. And so I had to drop everything, and I went in Kentucky, and I shot, and I had a great time, and I was the lead of this film, and I had to drop everything. And I don't think that lifestyle is conducive to being a parent. And I think, I don't know if I would be able to be full and present in my work if I was thinking about having a kid back home that is missing me, or that I don't know. I don't know. I go back and forth, if I'm being completely honest. So maybe we'll see. Maybe by the next interview, my answer will change, and I'll be telling you about a kid or something. But for now, I think that I'm happy just having my marriage and my 2 big old pit bull dogs.
If I may ask, because I usually don't. Oh. Okay. Good balance. That's my answer.
Yeah. I think balance is. I mean, and I don't know. Like, there is something really magical about the idea of having yourself. I think I was lucky. My parents, raised me a certain way, and they put so much love into making me the man I am today. And I would love to take what they taught me and that example and sort of give it to another human being. Also, adoption's a thing, because there are so many children on this planet that don't have that love and don't have that example. And so that's also something I thought of is adopting and sort of trying to find a child that already exists that I could give love and time to. And I don't know if I guess I feel like I'm rambling now, because now I don't know what I don't know what to say. I don't know what's in my future with children, but it's definitely, I guess the short answer is it's not out of the question.
I'm adopted, and I will say one of the things that I would like to share with you to bring ease or peace of mind. There are thousands, if not there's tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of children just in our country alone that need foster care or help. I think to look at yourself, think of what age would it be best for you to be able to know that you can be Mike Manning, you can be that father, that parent, everything that encompasses you. What age would that be? I'm going to honestly tell you, I would rather adopt a teen. The reason why is because, for me, they can take care of themselves, and I do very, very well to help nurture and to advise, and then know that that person can go ahead and take that information, process it however they choose to, and be able to maneuver through life and embody that wherever they go, of however they choose. I think teenagers would be the easiest. I know that they usually are the most hardest to get homes. They usually what they call age out of foster care and then thrown in a world, and that's where most of them get subjected to prostitution or homelessness, big time homelessness. If you want a baby, great. If you're thinking maybe a 10-year-old, great. But also consider this. You're the perfect age and perfect person to where if you think of a 13, 14, or even a 17-year-old, just think of yourself, how much time can I put in to help enhance and elevate another person's life? And no matter what, you will always be that mentor and that loving confidant to that child. And just know to where it's like, if I have a baby, am I going to be happy to spend tens of $1,000s on nannies? And as a Manny, your experience on this is us. Am I going to have to spend all this money for someone else to watch my kid? Or would you like to have someone that's older who can take care of themselves and wipe their butt, and you don't have to potty train, and they know how to make their own food, and you can give them lunch money? I think it would do great with the teenager. And like I said, I'm saying that because I understand you. I'm more and more, I really want to thank you for, I know we're live and our listeners are listening. For me, for being here with me, I want to thank you for gifting and giving me the opportunity to unfold more of those layers of who you are. And I really believe, no matter what it may be, just decide for yourself, where can you have a clear conscience, where if you're able to be present and to help someone, and to know that you can be available to the best of your ability, so you don't have to leave it up to outside resources or a spouse or someone to take care of a child if you know you're not going to be completely available. So I hope that helps.
Yeah. Well, can I tell you something, Stephen?
Yes, please.
I don't know if we've talked about it, but when I brought that up, I did not know that you were adopted.
Yeah, I was adopted when I was 9.
Yeah. I didn't know that. So I brought up that idea completely independent of realizing that I was talking to somebody that was adopted and whose life was changed in that way. So thank you for sharing that with me. And that's I think that's a really cool thing. I think that I think that this conversation is helping me understand the benefit that would give to another human, and you being the perfect example of that. I think I'm really glad that we're talking about this right now. There was a there was a film that I produced. It was a documentary, and I only bring this up because you mentioned some of the negative effects of not helping children as they go through the foster care system. I don't know if you know this, or I'll just say this for the listeners, but 50% of youth that are on the streets today, whether they're 16, 17, 18, I think up to 24 is the stat. They are products of 50%. Half of them are products of the foster care system. And in most cases, they will be placed in a foster home or some other, guardianship, quote unquote. And they will turn 18, or in some states 21, and their guardians, in a lot of cases, who don't really care about them as people, they will stop receiving checks from the government. They will give the kid a backpack and say, okay, cool, get out of my house. You're on your own now.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know about you, but I couldn't take care of myself, or it would have been very hard for me to take care of myself when I was 18 if I was given a backpack and really nothing else. And, it's so sad because a lot of these kids have so much potential, and there is not enough of a safety net to protect them once that happens. I think that there should be in every state a place where a young person can go, whether it's, if they're running from drugs or alcohol abuse with their family members, or violence, or whatever else, or if they're, if they age out, like you said, in the foster care system, there should be, no questions asked, a place where they can go and receive food and shelter and, help to, maybe finish their high school diploma or apply for jobs or whatever else. No questions asked, because as you probably know, within the first 2 weeks of living on the streets, a young person will take drugs, even if they've never taken drugs before. And that's not because they are looking to take drugs. It's either to stay awake at night or to find, to find something in common with other youth that might be on the streets. So they're like, okay, cool, I'll try this and I'll be a part of this group for safety. And it's to sort of have that group that you can spend the night with for safety, because they're scared out of their minds and they don't have anybody else. And then in most cases, within the first month, they'll be robbed of all of their possessions. They'll be assaulted physically, and they will perform survival sex. And the trauma that causes a young person is, once you pass 1 month on the streets, it is very, very hard psychologically to rehabilitate you from that trauma and to sort of help you pass, help you become a healthy, productive member of society, which is what we want for all of our citizens, right? If you think about it just from a numbers, dollars and cents standpoint, we should be investing in the safety net for these young people so that we protect them from this trauma, so that they grow up to be healthy, productive, tax-paying members of society, and so that they're not on the streets, so that they're not, stealing and going to jail and stuck in that system, which is also, very hard to get out of once you're in it. There are so many reasons that we should have the safety net for these young people. And so that's why I produced this documentary. We released it in 2020. It's called Lost in America. And we traveled to 13 different cities and talked and get to know young people that are going through this very same situation that we're talking about. And then, we were fortunate enough to get Rosario Dawson and Jewel, Grammy-winning artist Jewel. They were both executive producers on the film, and they're in the film. And Jewel talks about, being homeless herself and washing her hair in the bathroom of a Wendy's. And now she's a Grammy-winning artist. Halle Berry in our film talks about her time at a battered women's shelter. Jon Bon Jovi in our film talks about opening a center for homeless families by where he grew up, in his neighborhood. So it's a really special film. If anybody, it's not a really feel-good film, just, warning, but it's really a film that examines the issue of youth homelessness in our country today, and really begs the question, why is our government and our society not doing enough to protect these kids?
And with that, I'm going to honestly say everything is an economy. Homelessness is an economy, war, sickness, poverty, all of that. To share, and as you were talking, you helped me to remember. Well, I remembered, but at the same time, I did a little prayer and I was thinking, should I say something? And to share with you, since we're on this path of transparency and vulnerability, I'm just going to say, fuck it. and to let you know that because of you and the comfortability of what I feel with you is to let you know, to really reinforce the whole matter of children and homelessness and starvation and what kids go through. And not only that, the reasons why certain kids are homeless. So, being, in the 80s, I know what it's like to be on the streets, having a mother that was a heroin addict, almost seeing my mother getting raped in the back of an alley when she was getting her drugs. When the state took me away when I was 7.5, it was December 26, I believe it was 1981, 82. I was 7.5 at the time. And literally the day after Christmas, 2 social workers, 3 cops. And I remember when I went into foster care, like the whole point in this and why I'm adamant about adopting or helping older kids is because I was on that cusp. I was right there to where most kids, even at the age of 7, 8, or 9, are not adoptable. Everybody wants babies, or they want a 3-year-old or a 2-year-old. And I think maybe 5 is usually the cutoff point. And even today, still, people don't want older children, even children that are 7, 8, and 9. I was lucky that the foster family that took me in also wanted to adopt because my mother could not have any more children. She had a tilted uterus, but she did have a biological son that was older than me. And I remember when I was taken, I went through an eating disorder. I shut down emotionally. I would not let anyone love me. I'm still learning how to allow myself to be loved by other people and to be vulnerable. But also at the same time, it was a time where kids were highly medicated and easily thrown in a juvenile system to where they were raped, murdered, not only by their own, but even by the staff. And I remember I was deteriorating so fast because I just shut down. And I remember my social worker, Judy, had said to me, she goes, Steven, she's like, you got to make this work. She's like, if you don't, she's like, I have nowhere else to put you. She's like, I'm going to have to, put you in a facility. And I wasn't scared for myself, but I became scared and concerned for how she felt over my well-being because I went through enough, like, the shit that I saw and experienced, walking around with garbage bags at times because, my mom or, and her husband didn't pay the rent because they put it towards drugs or whatever. It was a very much to where I learned things that children should not have learned at a very young age. And I was not scared because I already faced death in so many ways, literally, physically, everything. And my whole point is, that being a point, but even more to share of what I don't want to, but why I want to emphasize why, you decide to go the route of fostering or adopting a child, especially if they're older or any age, is because when you're young and flamboyant, and even though at 7, 8, 9, I did not understand sexuality and gender or nothing. I knew sex. I knew what that was, but I didn't understand about gender and gender identification. And with that being said, I was young and flamboyant, and was called many names as a kid. And the fact of it is that if you are of the LGBT community or perceived to be of the LGBT community, you are not placeable. People, no matter what color or who they are, the traditional mindset of a child in the world is a heterosexual child, preferably a white heterosexual. Okay. I'm biracial. I'm Italian, Sicilian, Puerto Rican, Brazilian. Never knew my Latin side of the family. Only knew my Italian, Sicilian side. that's the way they were. They did not want me to know my father. My father threatened to kidnap me. They went and took me to North Jersey, hid me, so on and so forth. I was then adopted by a German family, but still I grew up in a community to where it was 99.9% white. And so being very dark skinned, very ethnic, with an afro and flamboyant, the trials that I had to face as a kid, and not only to defend my own identity and to know who I really am, and didn't give a shit about labels or anything else. Children are most, like what you said, put the backpack on, get the fuck out of my house. They're normally they're not hetero. They're of the LGBT community. And so with that, I'm not saying like I'm going to just specifically search out or whatever for a specific child. I don't care who or what they are, or even if they're asexual and they don't identify as a male or female. That doesn't matter. The fact of it is that still to this day, what is most difficult are kids that have learning disabilities, kids that are autistic, kids that have a handicap, and kids that are LGBT are the most at risk of homelessness, murder, and non-placement of a home. And if they do end up finding a home, they're usually given back, or like you said, thrown out on a street or aged out, and they've got nowhere to go. So with that, and why I didn't want to talk about that, but to share that because of you and for you, Mike, is you never know who you can help and how that person's going to turn out. Because like myself, no one ever thought, not even myself, I would be where I'm at today. And I am at where I'm at today because my parents saw something in me. They saw something in a 7.5-year-old kid. And they said they had to wait until, everything ran out. There was a process at that time, and they were trying to give my mom a chance to get me back and waiting for her to get rehabilitated, blah, 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 blah. And then they were like, if we give you back your son, you can't have your husband in the house. So it took 1.5 years, but still, they adopted a kid at 9 years old. They didn't care how I looked, what color I was, how big my hair looked. They didn't care how flamboyant I was, even though they were highly religious. I mean, deacons in a church, missionaries. I mean, big time. You would never have thought that my parents would have had a child that's gay. Never.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's beautiful. It's a beautiful story, and it just goes to show you that, there are hardships for whatever reason that people go through that does not need to define them. You are not defined by your trauma. You are defined by what you do with it and who you become. And it's like we can't control the cards we're dealt. We control how we play them. And now you have a testimony to share with other people, to inspire them and show them that they are not their trauma. They are not what's happened to them. They are not the hardships they're going through. They are the strength that it takes to get through those. And then the people that they become on, when they come out on the other side, they are stronger, more capable people that then have a story and a testimony to share.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for letting me share that with you. And it was important because it's not talked about a lot, and I sometimes wonder, and I look forward to those uncomfortable moments like I had, not with you, but in that moment, but then became comfortable because of being comfortable with you to share that, because you just don't know. You just don't know what's on the other side, just like with you, with the imposter syndrome and the anxiety and everything. And I didn't even know, that, you weren't available anymore to the public. And so we just don't know. So for what it's worth, to everyone that's listening, remember, there's always someone out there that can use help. And I appreciate you for doing that documentary. And I remember you shared that before, Mike, and maybe do a part 2 or something updated, or maybe whatever it may be. But it really is a conversation that most people, I believe not even a government, want to have a conversation about.
Yeah, well, it's a huge problem, and nobody wants to take it on because they don't want to fail. And I feel like with homelessness is such a huge thing, and it deals with mental health, it deals with affordable housing, it deals with so many facets of the issue of homelessness in our country today. And so that's another thing that we try to do with our film is just to cut out the sliver of youth homelessness. Like, don't try to address the entire pie right now, Mr. Politician or Mrs. Public figure or whatever else, whomever is going to make those decisions and change those laws. But it's like, don't try to tackle everything. Just help the kids, help homeless youth, because then if we can create that safety net, it will then help, prevent other adults, when those youth grow up from being homeless. And we might not see a change, next year or the following year, but soon you will have an entire generation of people that you've helped prevent from being on the streets or helped off the streets. And that is when our society, I think, will see a dramatic decrease in homelessness.
I agree. Thank you again. Mike Manning, actor, Emmy winner, producer, and he's also known on his Instagram by being a hugger. So when I officially meet you, I'm looking forward to receiving that hug.
Yeah. Thank you. I love a good hug.
Mike is known for This Is Us, The Bay, and Days of Our Lives. He's once again an Emmy winner, an extraordinary guy. You can head on over to his Instagram at Mike_Manning_, as well as his Twitter. Very excited. I just started following Mike today on his Twitter. Great stuff. And it's Mike_Manning_. You can't miss it. Thanks again for posting that video. Who would you like to give a shout out to, Mike?
I want to give a shout out to, I guess, to my family, and I can't wait to see them for the holidays.
Perfect. And any closing thoughts, anything that you would like to share, upcoming projects, advice, insight, anything at all?
I would just say, for anybody listening, just be weird. Don't be afraid to be yourself, and embrace yourself. And, there are 8 billion people on this planet. If the people around you aren't going to accept you for who you are, find somebody that does, because you only have one life and you deserve happiness.
Absolutely. Mike, stay on the line. We're going to close out. Definitely want to, like I did the last time, just have a real quick, personal closeout with you and do a thank you and everything. Once again, thanks again for being with us today, live on air with Stephen Cuoco.
Thank you for having me.
And let's just double check if there's any more messages. Do you want to recap it all from what, let's see here, what Marco said? Anything about the Samantha's friends? Do you want to close out?
No, I feel like, for anybody listening that's going to attend the Samantha's Friends event, they have one next year in May and one next year in September. They can go on the Samantha's Friends Twitter page and get more information. So if anybody's going to be there, I will be there, and I look forward to meeting you in person and giving you a hug.
Absolutely. Thank you again for everyone for tuning in live on air with Stephen Cuoco on Power 98.5. Mr. Mike Manning, looking forward to that hug once again. He is an Emmy award-winning actor. He's a producer. He's best known by the show This Is Us, The Bay, and Days of Our Lives. All things Mike Manning. You can head on over to his Twitter and Instagram, Mike_Manning, MANNING_, Instagram and Twitter. And give a great Google and, check in with us and send us a message. And if you have anything else that you would like to share with us on Power 98.5, just go to power985.com, click that bottom icon in the right-hand corner, send us anything on over to our team, or you can contact us directly at contact@power985.com. Remember, tomorrow, 11 a.m. Pacific, we have Jay Litherland. And then on the 5th at 2 p.m. Pacific, we've got music artist Jason Marshall, and we're going to do a live music drop. Enjoy the rest of your day. Stay warm, stay cozy, hug yourself, hug someone else. And remember, if you ever feel not safe, just take your arms, wrap them around yourself. It's something my counselor had shared with me a long time ago, and it really helps with self-soothing self-soothing. I had a tongue twister there for a moment. And I'm doing it right now. Just take your arms, just gently, don't force it or overstretch. Just wrap yourself and feel it. If you need to move, sway back and forth or around in a circle, whatever it may be. Anytime you don't feel safe, anytime you're not feeling love, anytime you just want to come back within yourself and to feel you, who you perfectly are, just gently wrap your arms around, move, put on some music, just sit there, meditate, pray, whatever. And even you can go ahead and rub the side of your traps. I'm doing that now. Rub the side of your traps. And once again, it does work. It's great for self-soothing. Have a great day, everyone, and thank you again.
Friend us on your socials and let's connect.